Hello everyone, welcome to my Black Ops Cold War Realism walkthrough, and this is Mission 8, Break On Through. And this is a very strange mission, so we're trying to unlock Bell's memories, essentially. And what they've done for this sequence is they're having you replay this whole scenario where you're in Vietnam, and each time you replay the sequence, it's different. So, the first time you start this, you're in a big combat encounter, and it's pretty tricky, because what you're gonna have to do is hug the right-hand side, kill the guy that's in the house if he's there, and then you need to grab this guy as a human shield, get rid of a couple of enemies there. There are times where there can be enemies inside this house, so while you're holding the human shield, you need to check inside the house, while also making sure that you do not die. This really takes its time. This is the equivalent of a Call of Duty section right here. You're having to just sit in one spot and just pop out every now and then and just deal with the enemies. I mean, the enemies on this section can choose to rush you at times, so you gotta check the left and right of the structure that I'm shooting at right now if you want to stay alive. And right now, the enemies are all just sitting in that spot right there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out, I'm going to kind of wallbang through the structure. I mean, it only seems to work at the very top of the structure. I'm not too sure why it works this way. It's rather odd, but you need to kill enough of these soldiers so that they'll eventually run away, and when they run away, they'll disappear, and it will allow this interrogation moment to progress onward. But do you guys actually like the whole idea of the sequence where you're just being forced to go through this little scenario here in order to unlock Bell's memories? I mean, it's a cool idea, but it feels off-putting in this game for some reason. That's what it felt like to me. You know, I feel like with Black Ops 3 it made a lot more sense, and you know, that whole sequence in Black Ops 3 where you're searching Hull's mind or going through those different areas at the end of the game, I just feel like it complemented Black Ops 3, because Black Ops 3 was exploring a lot of these ideas, but with this game, it felt kind of off-putting. And furthermore, with this mission, I kind of feel like it's my least favorite mission in the game, because I was coming across a lot of weird issues. Like, right here, there's a moment where you're supposed to throw your throwing knife at the guy directly in front of you after you do the silent kill, and then you're supposed to kill off the other soldiers. But when I was doing that, my friendly AI were not trying to kill the enemies, and I was dying so frequently, so instead I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw my throwing knife at this guy, and I'm going to grab this guy as a human shield. If I had done it differently, I would have been killed so easily. And this is precisely why the human shield mechanic exists. Like, if this was any other Call of Duty game, you would be dying so much. It'd be just complete RNG with those stupid soldiers. But with that human shield mechanic, I got rid of the RNG aspect. And also, I was getting moments during this mission where the frame rate would just drop significantly. So it's definitely clear that the way they handled the optimization for certain missions in this game was very poor. But this right here, Adler's going to force you to swap weapons, so you're going to have the Howler and the recurve bow. I'm going to use the recurve bow here, but I messed up my shot just then. If you shoot that guy right there, he will not be able to alert the other enemies. And you can just use a grenade on the 3 enemies in the middle of the room, and then take out the final enemy. But because I messed up my shot, I'm going to have to chase these guys down. So don't make my mistake. Land your shot perfectly. You could just restart the checkpoint if you want to. It's just, I'm trying to make sure I'm going through these missions without dying, just to deliver the best possible experience. But after you kill those enemies, you need to go on the left-hand side, wait here for a little bit, and then you're going to need to move. Follow this guy. Do not shoot him. Do the silent kill, because I did have one moment where I shot this guy, and for some reason it alerted the enemies. But he's dead, and now you just need to shoot this guy with the recurve bow, because you always go into combat when you reach a threshold of this area, and I don't like that. But I've gotten past them, and they're not going to follow me. Throw a grenade, and these enemies are dead, and rather than go through this little sequence here with the bunker door, I'm just going to skip it and just move on to the next combat encounter. And the next encounter is a stealth encounter, and it's a stealth encounter that works really well. So what you need to do is you need to kill this first guy, and then from here you need to take out these 2 guys that are right near the hut. You do not need to put your reticle directly above them. It seems like whenever your reticle is directly on the enemy, the bow doesn't seem to arc that much when you're shooting at a long range, which is pretty cool. I mean, try to make sure you don't miss, though. I mean, the only reason the enemies didn't detect me just then is because I killed that guy fast enough before he had the chance to alert the other enemies. So the game does give you a grace period to get rid of certain enemies if they detect you, which is very helpful. And right here, just sprint. This guy will not have enough time to detect you. And now we're going to move on to the next combat encounter, which is a combat encounter that definitely suffers from frame rate issues. And it's a pretty tricky combat encounter because there's so many enemies. I feel like there are just points in this mission where it feels like classic Call of Duty, but not in a way that actually feels good. Oh, and also right there, I killed that guy with the recurve bow, and I just killed that other guy with a combat kill. And it's still classed as a stealth kill, because that other guy wasn't alerted, which was pretty cool. But I'm going to take the right path right here, because that's what Adler's telling me to do. And he's going to force me to use an M16 and a pistol. Obviously the pistol is not going to be very good here because there's a lot of enemies, and the M16 in this game is so good. It is a rapid fire based weapon, it's not burst fire. It's the same case in the campaign of Black Ops 1, and it's a very fast weapon. This feels like the fastest weapon in the game when it comes to rate of fire. It's incredible. But what I do initially when I start this encounter is I go prone and I shoot underneath this hut because the enemies have a lot of trouble shooting me. And another reason why I'm taking the time to shoot the enemies from here is to allow my friendly AI to kill the enemies that are sitting inside the huts. And if you wait long enough, they'll eliminate a lot of the enemies, but I didn't really wait long enough and the enemies are still around. Here's a Howard that you can pick up. The Howard is a pretty good shotgun. I saw the Howard being demonstrated in Server17's channel, and he was killing enemies at some crazy ranges. Only just then, that guy took 2 shots from the Howard to die. So it's not as overpowered as I originally thought it was going to be. But from this spot right here, take out the enemies. They're going to be preoccupied with your friendly AI for the most part, so you should have a lot of openings to take them out. But look at the frame rate right now. The frame rate is not 60. It's dropping down into like the 30s range. I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't seen any big frame rate issues in this game aside from this mission. I don't know what it is about this mission that it has problems. And also, I was also encountering another issue where for some reason I was getting moments where my character would just move forward, almost as if my analog stick was stuck in the forward direction. But I don't think it's a controller issue at all. I think it's an issue with the game, and it feels like a very similar case that occurs where when you restart the checkpoint, you end up just getting this weird latency issue, and I demonstrated it in the blooper section of Red Light, Green Light, where my character was just flying all over the place, and the game was having trouble putting him in the right spot. So I think it's some variant of that bug, and I just think it's really unacceptable that this game has these kind of issues, and I don't even know why I get this weird issue with latency in the campaign, or I would assume it's latency. That would assume there's an online aspect to the campaign, but there just can't be. It makes no sense. I don't know why this issue happens, but it's definitely clear that the checkpoints on this game and the loading on this game are compromised, and I don't think they're gonna fix it anytime soon, because at this point Call of Duty only cares about the multiplayer and the zombies mode. The campaign of Black Ops 3 is still very buggy to this day. It's the buggiest campaign ever in the entire Call of Duty series, and they've devoted little to no attention to that campaign whatsoever. But that is the end of that sequence, and now we have a puzzle sequence right here, which is very easy. All you need to do is go through each of the slides on each of these slide projectors and get the picture of the door. And then once you've done this puzzle sequence, there's just another moment where you're with Perseus, but it's just going to transition you into a combat encounter. And it's going to be from the same spot as before in the first initial encounter, only this time we have a grenade launcher. And every single enemy on this section has been replaced with Adler, because it's trying to show that Bell was brainwashed by Perseus, and that Perseus programmed in the whole functionality of do not trust Adler, but Adler got to Bell first and he reprogrammed him. So they're kind of making an homage to Black Ops 1 with the whole idea of Mason being brainwashed by Dragovich, but then Reznov brainwashed Mason into killing Dragovich, Kravchenko, and Steiner. So I get what they were doing, but at the same time the brainwashing aspect in this game isn't as interesting. I mean, to be fair though, since we're kinda near the end of the game, since this is the second to last mission of the entire game, remember that second to last mission of Black Ops 1 where Mason gets out of the interrogation chair and he's just forced to walk, and it just seems like a very odd choice for Call of Duty, and you're not doing any kind of shooting moments, it's just you're doing an interactive cutscene essentially? Well, I feel like this mission is kinda a better substitute for that, because at least you're doing gameplay while you're busy exploring the brainwashing aspect and understanding the truth as to the circumstances of what's really happening. But as I stated before, there's just certain parts of this mission that feel too Call of Duty for me to really enjoy them. But this section right here, hug the right-hand side when you're getting over here. Watch out for any enemies. There are a lot more enemies this time around compared to the very first encounter. And just like before, the enemies are mainly going to stack behind this wall over here. So I'm trying to use my grenades to dispatch them, but my grenades are overshooting them. And right now, I'm trying to use my grenade launcher in order to get rid of all these enemies. But I keep missing again because I keep overshooting, so this is where I decide to back up a little bit, and I'm going to utilize this strategy right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim in the right spot, and I'm going to jump, and while I'm in the air, I'm going to fire my grenade launcher, and this should get rid of most of these enemies. And you have to kill all of them if you want to progress. Like, simply running away isn't helpful because the enemies are so good at shooting you, and also Adler chastises you for trying to run away from this encounter, so maybe if you run away from this encounter, you might go against Adler's orders and it might give you a different alternative. So I guess that's another reason why you don't want to simply run away from these encounters. But that is the end of the encounter right there, and we're now going to move on to the next encounter, which is going to involve a bunch of snipers, and there's only 3 snipers, and they are very easy to dispatch, no problems right there. And then after that whole moment, there is going to be a moment where Adler will force you to equip a sniper rifle, and you're going to be sniping down on a bunch of enemies waiting for a napalm strike to appear. And it's all pretty simple. This part of the mission is pretty easy. But here they are, and they're already dead. And this guy's just going to hang off the tower via the rope. And I think there were such animations present in World at War. Like, remember those missions in World at War where you were fighting the Japanese and there were snipers inside the trees, and when you shot them, they actually fell out of the trees? That was pretty memorable from that game. And one mission that really stands out to me in World at War is the mission where you had the flamethrower and you were clearing out the trenches, and you could even burn the trees that the snipers were inside of, and you could just watch the tree burn. It was a really nice detail. Still doesn't change the fact that World at War was a pretty bad game on veteran difficulty, because of course Call of Duty doesn't favor difficulty. Every Call of Duty game before this just builds their games around recruit difficulty. At least this game doesn't do that. Although I will say though, the next mission after this, I was playing it, and the very beginning of that mission is absolutely horrible. It is the worst part of the game, and what it involves you doing is you are having to sit inside this vehicle that's driving towards the enemies. They're all shooting you, and you have a war machine, and the war machine is absolutely horrendous. The splash damage on the grenades is almost non-existent. I've shot grenades right next to enemies that were on the ground, and they've never died. It has to be direct contact, which is so stupid. And then you have the guard towers, and the guard towers are really, really hard to shoot at. And by the time you get near them, you're probably already dead. The amount of times I died on that sequence is incredible, and that is classic Call of Duty. It's just pathetic that they would just favor that kind of design when throughout the whole entire game it has not embraced bad Call of Duty designs. But that mission is a big exception at the very beginning. And you only unlock that mission if you choose to side with Adler, which is what I did. So this is the end of this mission. Stay tuned for the final part. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.